Hi, guys. This is Angela Box. You're listening to Angela's Soapbox, and this is part two of my interview with Mike McCormick, who writes a great Substack called Midnight the Laptop of Good and Evil. And he was a former stenographer with the White House from 2002 to 2011. I'm sorry, 2018. And he's got some serious dirt on a lot of people. And we were talking about how essentially he came to the conclusion that there is a distinct possibility that the United States knew where Osama bin Laden was prior to 2011 when the official raid happened, because CIA had been monitoring a certain site since 2004. Dick Cheney flew over the site in 2005, and so that's where we are. Now, we ended the last segment talking about like why was this done, and I think we both have an understanding. It was so the government could continue this quote war on terror and surveillance. What's your theory?
Yeah. I mean, I think this was, Cheney would never go to a place like Pakistan to check on hurricane aid. That wasn't what he did. I think he only did,
Pretense.
what's that?
That was the
Yeah.
pretense
Pretense, exactly.
that he
I
went
mean,
to Pakistan to check on hurricane aid.
he did that once with Katrina. And remember, this is 2005. So this is just months after Katrina's hit. They sent Cheney down to New Orleans and he just like did his quick look around and came back. And then they started fixing the mess that was down there. So that was his role. He was the fixer. He was the guy they call in to make sure everything is managed right. So they send him into the region where all this conflict is, and then you put him right over the top of that. There's a photo in the Substack of him looking out the window of a helicopter,
Yeah.
sitting next to the ambassador as they're touring Pakistan. Why would they do that? They did it because they knew the press was stupid and they could get away with it. No one in the press at the time knew that Abbottabad would later figure into where Osama bin Laden was in this raid the SEALs did. And I just happened to look at and notice it in the documents I had. I think everybody on the trip got the same documents I did, and they probably just threw them away when they got home. It was just a helo trip through the countryside of Pakistan and then home after going to Iraq and Afghanistan. So it was a very exciting trip, kind of secretive. We had to Cheney flew out of Washington in a blue and white plane and met me and some other people that were sitting in a military transport in an airport in England, Mildenhall, England. In the middle of the night, they get off the back of the blue and white. They walk on our military transport, and that's what we flew into Baghdad because it wasn't as much of a target as a blue and white. The blue and white with Mrs. Cheney on it continues on to Oman. So it was this big secret trip, and the press was really excited about it. They never went back into their documents and looked at, hey, man, we flew over Abbottabad on that trip. I'm not sure Dana Bash knew or what she knew or when she knew it, but she was on that trip, and no one has ever reported this until I reported it last week.
I'm curious. Has anyone in the mainstream media, the legacy media, have they contacted you at all? Because this seems like a real bombshell story to me.
I checked in with James Rosen, who was on the trip. He was with Fox News at the time, and I texted him. He's like, "Wow, super cool." Right now, the media they're doing what the media does. They're following the news of the day, which is
Right.
White House briefings, what Trump is doing. They're busy with that. This is where podcasting comes in. This is where we can get the word out through podcasting because we've got a special audience, a specialized audience. That's what we can talk about today.
Yeah. So, are you? I don't even know. The speculation of 9/11. I used to think that it was like just crackpots who thought it was a planned thing and that Bush knew. I mean, I don't know. I still don't know where I stand on that, but I will say that considering how quickly the Patriot Act was pushed in and how all of us were rah-ing it, and how I remember being like, well, if you're not a terrorist, you don't have anything to worry about. not
Right.
realizing the long-term ramifications of a surveillance state, essentially.
That's
And
right.
I don't know, like, I don't know. It seems like everything was put into place very quickly after 9/11 to me.
I was riding a bus in and out of DC during the 9/11 attacks. I remember, and a friend of mine from high school died in the Pentagon bombing.
Mm.
He was on the plane that crashed in the Pentagon.
Oh wow.
And I remember smelling the burning smell as we drove by the Pentagon on the bus the day after. So it's to me very real. I think it was a shock. I'm not sure what happened with Osama bin Laden. We're now at a point in our government where we're getting revelations about past abuses by our intelligence agencies. Osama bin Laden was a product of our intelligence agency. He was brought up through the ranks with his mujahideen to defeat the Soviet Union. They did that, and then the story becomes, well, he turns on us. They had Osama bin Laden on under exposed to be tracked and attacked. I think in Uganda, in Africa, in 1998. Clinton had the opportunity to take him out, and he
I
said,
remember
"No,
that.
don't do it." So they
The
knew that he
CIA
was.
said don't do it.
They said that's always been our narrative,
Hmm.
right? We've always said, "Oh, we said we didn't do it." We don't know why they didn't do it. You can fast forward to 2001. He's trapped in the mountains in Tora Bora, and he gets away. They said he was encircled. The Democrats used to go crazy over that, and I always thought they were just being ridiculous. Now I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
Did he get away, or was he allowed to leave? And
Right.
then he's allowed to leave, and then allowed to set up. Oh, hey, we know where he's going. He's going to this place in Abbottabad. Here's our pictures of it.
Yeah, there's a reason that everybody in the deep state, the establishment, hates Trump, and I'm always reminded of the H.W. Bush funeral when everybody at the funeral, except for Jimmy Carter and including Mike Pence, got a mysterious envelope, and when they opened the envelopes, the looks on their faces were just shock, and I feel like obviously they were arrayed against Trump before then, but I mean, what did those notes say to them?
Yeah, right. I've seen that video. I don't know. You
It's
got to be
weird though.
careful. What's that?
It's weird though.
It is weird. You got to be careful with information, how it comes through,
Yeah,
because we don't know how we're being pushed. And that's why, to me, that's why I put it out to my Substack. I just happened upon this. It's not like I was looking to find it. It was like all of a sudden it just happened. And I was like, wait a minute, we flew over Abbottabad. And when I looked in the CIA website, I was like, wait a minute, they had photos of that exact site in 2005. The trip we took was December, so it was the end of 2005. So that kind of fits with me for Cheney. A trip like that, they would have planned it for a couple months beforehand. So October 2005, they start this thing. They may have been looking for an excuse to change the narrative away from the Katrina disaster that they were faced with. Remember, in 2006, the Congress goes Democrat
yeah.
heavily. And then you got 2008 and you got the rise of Obama. And the other thing is, they just handed this information off. Obama and Biden just took this over, sat on it until right before Obama was going to get reelected, and then they use it for
I
basically to get rid
remember
of it.
that. I remember where I was. I was like, well, there goes the election. I mean, they waited.
Right, exactly. That's what they
Yeah.
did.
Okay, we only have about like 30 more seconds, and you've got to come back on because
Okay.
I mean, this is fascinating, and I know that you've got lots of stories to tell, and I want to get into the Marco Polo and the laptop stuff soon.
Oh,
But
yeah,
tell everybody how they can follow you, and you guys, $8 a month. Subscribe to this man. He's got a lot of juice. So, Mike,
yeah.
take it away.
The Midnight in the Laptop on Good and Evil is Substack. You can subscribe there. I got a lot of stuff coming out. I've also got a book coming out in February, early February, called an almost insurmountable evil. How the deep state how Obama's deep state defiled the Catholic Church and executed the Wuhan pandemic. And that's got some real serious dirt on Pope Francis.
Oh, I am here for this as a, raised Catholic. Can't be Catholic. I can't do it with this guy. He's
Yeah,
pure evil.
right. Well,
So wow. I didn't even think about our goons maybe installing Francis. That's
that's
interesting.
exactly what they did.
Wow.
Yep. Yep.
Wow. All right, Mike. Well, can't wait to talk to you again.
All right, Angela.
Great. You've been listening to Angela's Soapbox. Give him a follow, give him a subscribe. Trust me on this. I'll see you next time. Bye.